Go, baby.
Let's go,
Let us
baby.
go. Let us go, guys. I want to welcome everyone into another round of the Monday show. That's what we're calling it. Big
Big
Dog, Little
dog,
Dog.
little dog.
I'm Big Dog at Trust Dog on Twitter, at Big Dog underscore Little Dog on Instagram. This is my co-host at Alatrosk.
I'm
Follow
yes,
him.
man.
Follow us. This week we're just gonna be talking about Week 11 recap. You know what went good, what went bad, who's good, who's bad, the Colts, Cardinals, and the Sadhawks. How was your weekend? How'd you enjoy this wonderful Sunday slate?
Well, it's Thanksgiving week. I got school off for the week. I'm at home with my family. It's
That's
always nice to
lovely.
be with the family. I'm grateful. I know yesterday I spent time with a couple of my siblings and my father. We went to the Seattle Seahawks Cardinals game. Great experience.
Oh
Horrible
yeah.
result. As one of my siblings, Big Dog was there, but I don't know. Bittersweet, bittersweet.
Yeah, it's mostly bitter. Mostly bitter. I went to the
Most.
last three home games now, and it just feels like disappointment after disappointment. The Jaguars win was good, but God, Colt McCoy cooked us up like one of those Seahawk fishes. So it was
We're on
just
Pike's Place.
it was yeah, one of those Pike Place fishes. He cooked us up. He chefed us up. So it wasn't too fun to watch that.
Yeah,
It wasn't
I
too
saw
fun for
this
Seahawks fans.
hilarious meme. It said let Russ cook." It was a picture of Russ, and it was a picture of like a hot dog and cereal. As
Oh yeah, I
Russ.
saw the one that was let Russ cook with a picture of an ice cube sandwich.
Oh
That's
gosh.
about what it's been. I think this week was like an ice cube sandwich. Last week was a hot dog cereal.
But we move. I'm excited to talk about the week's games.
Excited to
Let's
be
start with
here,
Tuesday
baby.
night. Huh? Are you ready? You
Yeah,
ready?
let's start. Let's get started.
So we had the Falcons Patriots 25-0 shutout. I'm pretty high on the Patriots. If you watched the podcast last week, I said top 10 offense, top 10 defense, and once again, they play pretty well. They're number five in my power rankings. I think they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender this year. I think anybody can win any week, and why can't the Patriots be one of those teams? They won the turnover battle. They've been winning the turnover battle consistently. I think that's the way you can win in the NFL. And I don't know about the Falcons, but I like this Patriots team. That's the takeaway for me.
Yeah, I'm just not sold on the Patriots yet. I just don't think they have that one weapon. I mean, what was the last team to win without, some elite weapons? And if we're talking Nelson Aguilar and Jacoby Myers are going to be the keys to winning the Super Bowl,
Sean Kendrick
I'm just
Bourne.
not seeing that. Mac Jones has played really really disciplined, confident the last few weeks, but let's remember he's a rookie. He's not going to be lighting up the world. So, let's just slow our roll a little bit. Patriots don't have the weapons. They're playing opportunistic ball. Got on a hot streak. Let's see when they face some stiffer competition.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure.
Let's talk about the Falcons too, real quick. Kind of on a two-game slide. They kind of bounced back prior to that, but I just don't. I mean, it's a rebuild year, so even pulling off some of these wins is impressive. My biggest thing for me is Matt Ryan needs to go because by the time this roster is back to a competitive state, Matt Ryan might not be worth anything. It might not be a good quarterback. So
Yeah, I think I want people to get confused. I think he's saying that he thinks Matt Ryan's been playing pretty decently this season, but
definitely,
I
yeah.
mean that's why you can get something out of him right now. So I completely agree with you there. But moving on, I think we're ready to move on to Sunday slate.
Yep, let's do it.
Pretty boring game this week, I gotta say. It wasn't the best window. There was a couple good games. Shout out Green Bay, Minnesota, and of course the Sunday night game was very good. But let's start off pretty simple here. Detroit, Cleveland. It was actually the lowest scoring game of the weekend. You had Tim Boyle starting for Detroit. I was telling my brother about it this week. Tim Boyle was below average quarterback at college for UConn, and then he transferred to Western Kentucky because he got benched at UConn and was terrible. Negative touchdown interception ratio, and those are not elite conferences. Those are not elite schedules. He sneaked his way onto a third string role with the Packers, and he sneaked his way onto a third string role with the Lions. So Tim Boyle might be the worst ever like starting pedigree. Maybe except who was the wide receiver that started last year for the Broncos? I mean, obviously those are immense circumstances.
Kendall Hidden or something.
Yeah, but Kendall Hilton, I think it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he was terrible, and I think that's really all you gotta say about the Lions. This is the same Lions team we see every week. They compete. They're just under talented. They're probably gonna get Kayvon Thibodeau in the draft. So we just look at this as a rebuilding year for the Lions. Not much to say. It's the same thing every week. However, I think that the Bears or the Browns, they came in with high expectations. They had a loaded roster offensively. They came with OBJ, Jarvis Landry, the number one ranked offensive line. You expected Baker to step up another year. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, those are two stars at running back. Um, Tight ends with two pretty good tight ends, Austin Hooper, high paid. David Njoku is always an athletic freak. So you got loaded guys on offense, and you got Myles Garrett on defense, Denzel Ward. These are top guys in the draft. You expected big things, and I just have to say I'm not confident in this team right now. They're sitting in last place in the division. What do you think about the Browns' current chances?
Yeah, I'm not confident in this team, and it all starts with the helm, the head of the snake, Baker Mayfield. I think that injury must be getting to him. He's not showing up well. It's not looking good. And I just feel bad for him almost because this is just going to hurt his contract negotiations. He's playing through a lot of injuries. He said he's the most banged up he has ever been. And, respect, he's very tough, but it's just not looking good for the Browns. It's not going to look good for him when it times come to negotiate that contract or figure out what he's worth. The Browns, to me, with the play of Baker, is just not a very scary team right now. I mean, we've seen it. They've lost to teams like the Steelers scoring 10 points. They got blown out by the Patriots. If they're not disciplined on offense and they can't make the necessary plays, then this defense is not going to carry them. Fortunately, they were able to carry them against the Lions, but, I think the Lions have shown fight. I think there's still hope. They have games against, like, the Bears that are coming up. They have games against the Falcons, Seahawks, that they can all take games off of. So I'm just excited to see the Lions pull one out. They just got to hope that, things fall their way in those games because they're very winnable. Let's move on, all right? Let's move on. I mean, let's not dwell on that game.
That just hurt my heart there.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions, they got to get lucky with one of those bottom teams. Who should we move on to? The Colts Bills? That's an exciting one. Or, the Ravens Bears?
I think let's go over the Ravens Bears because
absolutely,
we had two backup quarterbacks at the end there. Tyler Huntley started the game. Lamar Jackson was sick. This game was really boring. I think
fest.
It was sloppy from both teams. Andy Dalton came in at the end. Justin Fields was not playing well. Was running a lot. I don't know about the Ravens long term. They're probably going to make the playoffs. We'll see. The division, you never know what's going to happen. It's so close. It's so tight. They haven't played well in their recent weeks. I'm surprised they even got a win here. The Bears are probably, behind the Lions, the worst team in the NFC pretty clearly. So it's difficult to say what both these teams are really, what this game means for both these teams.
Yeah, I was a little bit impressed the Ravens won this game, and then I watched the Bears play and realized that, most teams would have won this game without their starter. But have we heard anything on Justin Fields? What's his injury prognosis? Any news on that?
I'm not completely sure. I can come back to you on that. I do want to shout out. I do think Darnell Mooney is a stud, man. I think if he's a good right coaching and a quarterback that's maybe more pro ready, I think Darnell Mooney is a monster. I think he played really well in the last this whole season. I think he's been playing really well. He just hasn't been getting targets to the beginning, and now he's getting the ball in his hands. He's making it happen.
Yeah, he's electric. He's very fast.
Yeah, he's electric.
Great vertical ability to that offense. But I don't know, man. We're back to the Matt Nagy fired conversation, right?
Well, we've been on that.
Yeah, they played well against the Steelers. Probably should have won that game if a few calls go their way. And they come back and flop against the Ravens at home. So,
yeah.
I don't think Matt Nagy makes it a day past the end of the season. I think Monday he's gone. The Ravens.
Well, so
what's up?
The Justin Fields injury is apparently a rib injury. It's not long term and difficult, but I'm not sure if he's going to start this week. It's a short week. But to your point, I think he loses this week, he's done. You lose to the 0-9-1 Lions, you're out. It's that simple. I think this is his last week. It's pretty much win it for the rest of the season almost. And I think a lot of Bears fans. I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of Bears fans, maybe Lions fans, this week, just to see Matt Nagy gone.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. To the Ravens, like I said, it's hard to say how this game really went because you have your backup quarterback in obviously with Lamar Jackson. With Lamar Jackson, it's going to look like a really different team. So I think we're just still pending on both on the Ravens right now. Are you ready to move on?
Yep. Who are we talking about next?
I think we can talk about the. Let's talk about Miami and New York for like 30 seconds here because it's not a game we really want to get into detail with. I thought Joe Flacco played pretty decently. I think he arguably played better than Mike White, but I think Tua had that nice throw to Matt Collins, maybe his best deep throw of his career.
Yeah,
And
that was a good ball. Was that a coverage bust?
it did look like some sort of coverage bust, but he's on the run. The ball was, I mean, it was fast and it was quick and it was around 50 yards downfield, so you can't really say.
Are the Dolphins on a 3-game win streak right now?
Uh, they may be. No, they lost the Falcons. They lost the Falcons.
They lost to the Falcons.
Yeah, it was they lost to the Falcons, uh, and then they beat the. Oh no, they are on a 3-game win streak.
Oh yeah, they
They
are.
did lose to the Falcons and then Buffalo, but then Houston, Baltimore, New York. Yeah, 3-game win streak, and a winnable game against Carolina. Honestly, this week.
Yeah, and a winnable game against the Bills. Winnable game
Giants
against the
too.
Falcons. A winnable game against the
Winnable game.
Jaguars. Crazy. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I think what the Dolphins are missing were explosive plays, and they've been managing to hit that the last few weeks, definitely. Um, and so their offense is obviously not in a great shape. Tua's, I still treat Tua like he's learning. He's only played like 11 or 10 starts in the NFL. Their weapons aren't healthy, but their offensive line stinks. So this if this offense can just put together some competency and make some explosive plays like they did to Matt Collins, they can be relevant. Their schedule coming up, I'm gonna read it out. At least for the next 3 games, all 3 winnable. 4 games, I should say. They got the Panthers, Giants, Jets, all at home. I could see them coming out of those games 3-0. And they got the Saints, and the Saints are not looking too scary right now. Trevor Siemian is making some questionable decisions. I think a defense like the Dolphins could prey on them. I'm not. I wouldn't be not surprised if the Dolphins somehow managed to finish this season above 500 after that poor start to his injury. You can't ask for much better than that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. And to the Jets,
Flip side, the Jets
maybe
are
the
just in
Jets.
permanent rebuild. I don't know what they're doing.
Permanent rebound. Yeah.
At least they'll get a
I'm
high
a,
pick. They'll get 2 high picks this year, which is really nice.
no, Charlotte Hawks. They're currently top 5 picks, so two
Yeah,
top 5.
maybe they'll probably miss on them, but maybe they hit. I don't know. Maybe they hit for once.
Um, moving on. We got to talk about the. I think we talked about the Eagles Saints. Hey, how about Jalen Hurts? What a player! I mean,
I mean, he's not doing anything. He's just he looked electric with his legs, is what it was on Sunday, and their run game was dominant. Did you notice that? They had about
was
70 yards in the first quarter. I think they had average. I think the Eagles O line. So this is what I've been saying for weeks now. The Eagles line was not healthy. Once they got healthy, they could start running the ball. Guess how many yards the Eagles averaged before contact against the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL the last like 2 or 3 years?
I'm not sure.
183, maybe 184. That's insane. So that means
Uh,
Eagles got that many yards before being touched. I know some of it was on Jalen Hurts, but the running backs averaged some great numbers. Miles Sanders put up 5.9 yards per carry. Jordan Howard 6.3 yards per carry on 26 touches. The Saints defense is good. Nick Sirianni, he's kind of making a name for himself, just
yes.
bouncing back. People really wrote him off after that one press conference. And this team was never supposed to do anything this year. But
Sure.
they found talent in places. Jalen Hurts has really kind of made some strides as a quarterback. He's not super impressive, but he's bought himself some time.
I mean, he's got an 82.2 PFF grade right now, which is extremely impressive. I think for a second-year player. I mean, it's only been 16 starts in
Yeah,
his career.
absolutely. He's improving. I think the concern is still him being able to pass. consistently in the pocket and win games from the pocket. I'm. I mean, even yesterday he was a 13 for 24 and 147. He took 3 sacks. It wasn't super great, but I mean, right now he's making plays out of with his legs, and that's where they're winning games.
Yeah, sure.
How about them Saints? They've really fallen off too. They're 3 straight losses. Trevor Siemian is not awful, but he's not good enough. This roster is kind of where we thought they were. Jameis Winston playing okay helped them out, but they've had some very close wins for a team that's probably not that great.
Well, shout out one of the weirdest contracts from this morning, Taysom Hill.
Absolutely.
Extends 4 years, 40 million, or 90 million, depending on the position he plays. And you got to think, I mean, if he's 40 million, that's $10 million to a backup tight end. So
yeah, I don't like it. Sean Payton has an obsession with Taysom Hill. Although apparently what I read from some cap guys is that they had two void years on his contract that he just signed, and so that was going to incur dead money if they didn't extend him for 4 years or something. I can't remember what it was, but there's some cap financial reasons to extend him. Obviously, I don't know about the cost. I don't know about the Saints. Their future is looking how we might expect after they went all in for a few years.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on. Let's talk about some of the upsets this week. Let's go to the Houston Texans and Tennessee Titans. The clear #1 team. Not me, but a quote from Big Dog here. How do you feel about your Titans this week?
Yeah, I got a lot to say about these guys. The first thing is that I think it's just caught up to them. The injuries. They have by far the most players, the largest number of players in their active roster this year. I think at like 70 plus. They are dealing with injuries all up and down their offense, their defense. They have guys in secondary, offensive line guys who weren't playing well. They won 6 straight games against good teams. I think this was a pretty obvious letdown spot. It was rainy. The weather was bad. The Titans' offense, to be fair, has not looked great since they lost Derrick Henry. But, I mean, they lost Derrick Henry, who was the key cog to their offense. So,
No.
It's one of those games where the Texans played just well enough to win, and the Titans struggled at home in the rain. Kind of a beaten up roster. I'm not really thinking too much on it. If they can get healthy going into the playoffs, they're easily a Super Bowl contender for me. But the key thing is they need to get healthy.
Yeah, they do. They really do. I thought Tyrod played pretty well. He looked pretty good. What can I say? I kind of saw this one coming. I thought +10 was my lock of the week for the Texans. I didn't think they were going to win, but they definitely covered easily. And this Texans defense has been legit all season. I think it's really been insanely impressive, I think, from David Cullen or whatever his name is. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Texans are not as far from getting back on track that we initially thought. They were going to be the farthest team from rebuilding.
Well, let me just look at this, too, real quick. I mean, so the Texans had 190 yards of total offense. Ryan Tannehill's 4 picks definitely gave him a bone. And he did not play well, obviously, but it was rainy. It's just one of those games. We've seen Russell Wilson have those for the past 16 weeks, so it's just it happens sometimes. Let's move on. I don't think there's much right here. Too many teams in this league have gotten upset, and I think it was just the clock was ticking for the Titans.
Yeah. So let's move on to another one. Buffalo Bills, Indianapolis Colts, -7 line, and the Colts just routed them. Isaiah McKenzie is one of the worst players that you're probably ever seen as an NFL player.
That was
probably the worst play of the weekend. That includes Daniel Jones throwing a pick to a defensive lineman.
That was ugly.
I mean, Isaiah McKenzie slipped on his own juke and fumbled the ball. But, yeah, Jonathan Taylor, 5 touchdowns, obviously the story of the game. Was it 6? No, 5, yeah.
5.
6 was Kamara. But Uh, is this guy the best running back in the NFL? Specifically, the best runner in the NFL, especially with Derrick Henry out? I probably would say so.
I agree. He just looks really good with the ball. He's burst. He's got all the skills you want in a back. He's got speed, burst, agility, and he's also tough, man. He does not go down easily. Although I do want to shout out the Colts O line, who has been great at opening holes. Hopefully, Quentin Nelson's okay. He went down.
Looks
Uh,
pretty tough.
and like when you mentioned with the Texans, I had the same feeling about the Colts. That they would have been my lock of the week at +7. I took a money line in a parlay or two. It just set up really well for them. The way the Bills defense likes to play is soft. They don't have a lot of they don't have a lot of emphasis on stopping the run, and we saw exactly what happened when you do that. Jonathan Taylor runs for 32 carries, 185 yards. They dominate time and possession. I don't know if that's true, but I feel like they probably did. And they were just able to get out to a lead and hold the lead because they could run the ball. I also want to note Josh Allen. He's had one good year, 3 bad years so far, in my opinion. I think he struggled again recently. His ceiling is obviously very high, but uh, I don't know what to say, man. This roster is solid, but if Josh Allen cannot lead these guys, I don't know what their ceiling is. Again, starts at the top. They don't have a run game. What are your thoughts on the Bills right now?
I don't know. I mean, they're second in their division to the real Super Bowl contenders from their division for sure. Um, it's hard to say like this team isn't going to make the playoffs. I think they're so well coached. They've got too much offensive talent not to make the playoffs.
Oh, I don't. I think they're gonna make the playoffs. I just
Yeah.
think
Right now, it's not a guarantee for
they're
sure.
Super
With
Bowl
the way the wild card's
contenders.
going.
Super Bowl contenders.
Uh,
I could see it, but Josh Allen just winning 3 or 4 games straight in the playoffs. I just don't know if he's got that in him right now.
yeah, I will see. Obviously, the defense didn't play super great this week. First week, they played really terrible, I think. But yeah, I think I need more time in the Bills for sure to fully say they're out of the conversation. But moving on, let's talk about probably the game of the first window and the last game the second last game. Maybe I'm not sure if Jacksonville was the first window, but I think it was. We actually had a couple
Do we
more.
want to
Let's
touch on
talk
the Colts at all or no?
No, I don't really have much to say. I think they're a pretty good team. I think they're probably going to compete for the AFC South.
Yeah, they're
I said it
closing in on
last week a
hot.
lot.
They need to overcome the Titans because they lost twice in the division.
Yeah, but we'll see. I
Yeah,
don't
we'll
know
see.
much.
I'm not confident, but we'll see.
Football team Carolina. Here's what's funny about it. I think this game is so humorous because you got a team that's had a great defense all year. You know, they've had quarterback issues. So they bring back Cam Newton, who I would say had a pretty relatively good game.
He
You know,
did.
played like pitch Cam a lot.
He hasn't played all season.
You got to think the Panthers lost because Cam Newton couldn't carry his offensive line and his defense. And now I'm just like, wow, real flashback vibes. When you expected the defense to be the star of this team, you know, the thing that holds it together. Dante Jackson played one of the worst games of the corner I think you'll see all season. And Taylor Heineke just truly out his way. I don't know if either team are playoff hopefuls, real hoping at this point, with losses that they just can't seem to overcome. But
Yeah,
it's an interesting game for sure.
I think we got to credit Heineke here and McLaurin. McLaurin made some unbelievable catches all throughout this game. 3 of those were unreal. And Taylor Heineke was actually PFF's highest rated quarterback of the week, whatever you think of that. 16 for 22, 206, 3 TDs. So I'm not sure if necessarily the Panthers are playing so bad on defense. But Taylor Heineke and the Washington offense has been pretty on fire the last 2 weeks. And, you know, asking Cam Newton to carry the offensive line has been pretty poor. And the defense, which has been, you know, good, not great, good. It's a lot to ask on his first start in, over a season? Or a season? And learning the playbook only 2 weeks ago. That's tough.
Oh, Cam, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the Washington team, how they handle, they've been playing up to competition. I want to see how they play down to competition next week.
That's true.
Yeah. See if they can sustain the
We
level
got the
of
Seahawks
focus.
next week for you viewers out there.
Yeah, I just want to see if they can sustain the level of focus against a team that, they should beat pretty handily. We'll see. We'll see.
I think shout out Christian McCaffrey. I still think he's the best running back in the league. Have been saying that since Derrick Henry's been having his MVP campaign or whatever.
Did we not just talk about you saying that Jonathan Taylor was the best back in the league?
Running back, like rushing. I think he's the best rushing back. I don't think he can provide what Christian McCaffrey provides.
Okay.
His ability. What one thing people are like, oh, this route running isn't that great. He's just a running back, line up against linebackers.
Does anyone say that, dude?
His route running, I've heard that a lot.
Elite.
It's pretty good, yeah. But what's so good about Christian McCaffrey when he's out in the backfield is his ability to catch the ball and continue his motion. Like, he doesn't lose momentum catching the ball. He's able to make cuts immediately after catching it. That's just a talent that not a lot of players in the NFL have. I think Alvin Kamara has that talent. I think Christian McCaffrey has that talent. D. Henry does not have that talent. I think Kyle Pitts has that talent. One thing he's been really great at this year. DK Metcalf's another guy that's able to do that. It's just rare when you see players just continue in full stride after they catch the ball.
Yeah, that was an unreal catch, too. Nice throw by Cam. I was impressed.
Yeah, it was. But it's not much to say about this game, really. I think you talked about both these teams are playoff hopefuls. Moving on, I think we can talk about San Francisco-Jacksonville. I mean, probably the most boring game, like the one you circle, like, I'm not watching this game. That includes Miami-New York. I'm probably just not watching this game. Trevor Lawrence doesn't look great again. Missed a ton of throws. The Niners defense, looks pretty good. 2 blowouts in back-to-back weeks. Jimmy G doesn't even look impressive. I don't know. He just looks like Jimmy G. George Kittle looks pretty good. Brandon Ayuk coming into stride here at the end of the season. Kind of what we expected at the beginning of the year. But not much to say about this game, I think, either. I think the Niners are still on the outside looking in for sure, especially they have so much divisional games lined up. It's going to be hard for them to make playoffs.
Yeah, I really don't want to talk about this game. Do have to acknowledge the Niners do have a good shot at the playoffs. I'm not too sure about their schedule, but how it's looking, I think they might actually be the 7th seed. I don't know if they have the tiebreaker over the Vikings or the Saints, but those 3 are basically the 6-7 seeds right now at 5-5. And if the Niners can get hot, they could definitely sneak into the playoffs here, especially with the way the Saints are trending. It'll be interesting to see, though. Their schedule might be a little tough. And for the Jaguars, I don't got much to say about them. It's a rebuild year. Urban Meyer didn't look great. Jaguars at home, I thought would put up a little bit more of a fight, but it was over by the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bounce to the afternoon, man. Bengals Raiders.
Well, actually, rewind here. We missed one game.
Okay.
The Vikings Packers. The game of the week. The game of the first window.
Oh, absolutely missed that game. Yeah.
I gotta say, I think both quarterbacks played pretty great games. Not the biggest Justin Jefferson fan. Not saying he's not a phenomenal receiver. I just think he's a little overrated.
Yeah, phenomenal day, I'll say that.
Great week for sure. Adam Thielen played good also. But I don't know. It's a divisional game. I don't know how much to think of this as the Packers are still contenders. I still think they're very much contenders. I think Aaron Rodgers played phenomenally when he was hurting. So that's got to be a good sign. I don't know. The defense kind of let them down, which has not been the case in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think Justin Jefferson is way with the secondary. Kirk Cousins played exceptionally well, even with the Vikings O-line being very, very porous. Their center, their starting center is out. Garrett Bradbury's out, and their backup center looked like worse than Joey Hunt, if you guys know who that is. So I was really impressed with Kirk.
Honestly, Joey Hunt might be better than Kyle
given the limitations of his offensive line and maybe even his coaching. And Aaron Rodgers, he played well. He definitely played well. Their defense kind of slipped up on them. I don't know, man. It's a divisional game, 3-point game. in Vikings territory. It'll be interesting to see how both these teams finish. The Vikings have, snuck in 2 wins back to back against some pretty quality opponents. But let's jump on. Bengals Raiders. Bengals won 32-13 in Vegas. Raiders are now on a 3-game slide. Man, it must feel bad to be a Raiders player, Raiders fan right now. They just don't look like they have much left in them already. Looks like all that trials and tribulations that have pushed them to this point are really taking a toll. Derek Carr has not played well in the last 3 games. Defense has kind of fallen back to earth.
Yeah. One of my friends was at the game, actually a huge lifelong Raiders fan, big time fan. Bought a Ruggs jersey before the incident, so he didn't have a great weekend. The Bengals just look like they had their way with the Raiders. It's probably time to say, quits on the season almost as a Raiders fan. You just see this every year. You just expect it. And then all the midseason drop off. And this year, more than any other year, signs have been showing. Henry Ruggs going, John Gruden. It sucks because I think players individually have made big steps. I think Max Crosby's got to be a Pro Bowler this year. He's been an elite pass rusher. As a guy who really people were saying was just way overrated. He was getting big sack numbers, but wasn't getting big pressure numbers. They're cleanup sacks. But this year it's been the opposite. He's not getting a lot of sacks. He's getting a decent amount for sure. But he's insane pressure numbers. He's sober. For the first time this year. It sucks to see so many big stories. I think Derek Carr is a great leader. He's been showing that all year. I think he's actually played pretty well. He had a tough game this year, or tough games in some of these weeks, but you can't argue he's been an above average quarterback this season. It sucks to see guys like that, have their seasons derailed. Even Darren Waller. I mean, he's definitely the top 3 tight end in the league. I think people were saying it that he's just a mismatch. He's just a nightmare.
Yeah, he's been quiet. He had a good game against the Bengals, but prior to that, he's been a little quiet. The Raiders, yeah, it's just another one of those seasons, man. They start off hot and they really just fall off. At least this year you have some obvious things to point to for the reason of that drop off. But it'll be interesting to see on this offseason, see what happens with the drafting. John Gruden had complete control, so now it'll be kind of Mike Mayock's picks. And the Bengals come back off a bye and, blow out a team. This team is kind of an enigma for me. I don't know. Bengals have looked good and also looked pretty bad in spots. But I want to see them play some more divisional games, see how that goes. Let's jump on to, the Cowboys and Chiefs. One of the bigger games of the weekend, Cowboys at Chiefs. The game finished up 9-19. One of the lowest totals of the week. What are your thoughts on this, man? Chiefs kind of win this game, jump out to an early lead, and then only 3 points scored in the second half for the Chiefs.
I thought that Olatrosk must be a genie or something, because that's his co-hosts were talking about, it's going to be a blowout, 56.5. I wouldn't bet the under here. Slam the under. Slammed it.
I don't know if anyone said, and I wouldn't bet the under. I don't know. That doesn't sound too familiar, but I will also say I was on the Chiefs the whole way in that cash. So
yeah, for sure, good bet there. But the under was quite clearly a hit. I don't know. You see Clyde Taylor back in the lineup. Seems like he's making a difference and impact from rough start this season. Kelsey and Hill are always going to be there. I don't think Mahomes played a great game. His pick wasn't his fault for sure. I don't think it was a little behind Kelsey, but probably ball again. I don't know. The Cowboys. You thought they were back on track. Maybe it's just the Falcons being just utterly garbage. But Dak Prescott losing some MVP race chances. I still think they were pretty much a lock to win the division. But with the Eagles' schedule, it's not guaranteed. They only need to drop a couple games, and last week because they against the Eagles could easily win out. So who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. The Cowboys have played 2 really bad games in the last 3 weeks, specifically their offense. Dak Prescott, again, he was under some pressure. Chris Jones kind of had his way with the offensive line, but he really wasn't able to elevate the play of his offensive line or receivers this week, which is kind of disappointing to see. And there's really no excuse for rust. People were claiming Dak was rusty against the Broncos, but maybe it's not so much rust as he's just not playing at the exceptionally high level everyone thought he was. On the flip side, we kind of saw The Mahomes back to what he's been, which is inconsistent, a little inaccurate. Another fumble, and these plays matter. They ended up winning. Shout out to their defense, which has actually turned a corner. But to me, the Chiefs' defense being solid here is more relevant because if the Chiefs' offense can wake up, Mahomes play like how he did against the Raiders, uh, then this team is gonna go far again, no doubt. If their defense can play better, keep them in a game where the offense really didn't do much, that's important.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I'm ready to move on. Let's talk about Arizona, Seattle. I don't really want to dwell on this game. I don't want to talk about the Seahawks. They suck. It's just that simple. I don't know what's going wrong. I mean, you give up around 400 total yards on defense. The offense literally is incapable of staying in the field, incapable of putting a drive together. First touchdown in the last 3 weeks, and it was came late in the game, and the defense didn't give them a chance to win.
Yeah,
I don't know. The Cardinals are probably the best team in the NFL at this point. They're 2-1 with Colt McCoy, two dominant victories against divisional opponents. If Matt Prater hit some field goals, this game wouldn't have been close. They would have been talking about the Seahawks as bottom feeders. The feeders that get eaten on by average teams. It still could be. If the football team comes out and beat the Seahawks next week, I mean it's official. They're a top 5 team. They're done. They're top 5 bottom. I mean, but I
yeah.
don't know. We won't
Now,
really elaborate on the Pete situation. I don't want to talk about Russ has struggled, obviously, but it's an improvement from last week. I'm not too concerned. You see 8 years of success, the ninth year. Okay, it's been a little shaky, but this has got to be an outlier. You expect it to turn around.
I believe
DK
this
could
is
add
year
some
10,
plays. Tyler
actually.
Lockett
This is year
went
10.
well. This is season 10. So
Yeah.
you had 9 great seasons and one
Yeah,
that's
eight and a half, maybe.
well, I mean, if you want to really cut it close, he's had some rough seasons, half seasons,
Yeah, but the
definitely.
last half was real rough. Probably the roughest of his career.
I don't know. That first year, the late Legion of Boom year before he had his MVP for a second half, he was terrible.
That was
But
his rookie year.
no, the MVP second half. Russell was on his MVP second half, the year that Cam Newton won.
Oh,
They went like
2015.
yeah, I think they went
I
like
think
8 and
didn't he
last.
didn't he have sprained MCL that year?
Yeah, he had the knee injury. Thomas Rawls couldn't get a single yard. I think we had like negative
Uh,
4 rushing.
yeah, he
I mean, he
did
wasn't.
struggle, but he couldn't move. To be honest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got a finger this year, so
Yeah, let me get my take on this game. Cardinals just their defense I think has been really impressive throughout the year. Just consistently solid top to bottom. Secondary has played well. Pass rush has been exceptional, and their young linebackers have made plays. The Seahawks, man, recently they've been relying on their defense, and their defense has done really well for them. And then their offense has been putrid the last 2 weeks. You can kind of give them an excuse last week, but in this game we kind of saw the defense not play up to the standard they've been setting, and the offense just looked like complete garbage. They're running currently, I believe they're running currently 17 less plays on offense than the average in the NFL, and the next lowest is 7 plays, which by the Texans. So basically, the Seahawks are 10 lower than the next lowest in total number of plays on average. So that's real bad. The offense cannot sustain a single drive. They're one of the worst teams on third downs in the league, if not the worst. Russell Wilson is the worst quarterback in third down in the league so far this year. Uh, Basically, I think if they don't win against Washington, this team is going to fall apart. There's just really, first of all, there's just really no point because they're not going to make the playoffs. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see about this offseason for the Seattle Seahawks. Cardinals really impressed with their 2 wins with Colt McCoy. That's all I really got to say, man. That's all I really got to say.
yeah, me too. Go Cardinals.
No,
Uh,
not go Cardinals. Not go Cardinals.
I'm saying go Cardinals from a Cardinals fan perspective. There was one
Oh,
they're
I
playing
gotcha.
well. You know, um, that's yeah. If we could start talking about this too much, you might see some tears out of Little Dog. So let's move on. Probably the game of the week, Sunday night, Pittsburgh versus LA. Chargers. A lot of people coming out saying, "Wow, Justin Herbert's top 10 quarterback." Wow, no, he's not. He's top 5. He's top 3. He's so talented. The ups are ups. The highs are highs, and the lows are lows, man. I think Herbert's played really well this week. I think Austin Eckler was magnificent with the ball. I mean, dude, that touchdown catch, like juke one way, guy was on the ground. Juke the other way, guy was on the ground. Just walks into the end zone, 38 fantasy points or something. If it were Jonathan Taylor didn't have the insane week, I think we'd be talking about Austin Eckler a lot this week. You saw Mike Williams get back involved and Keenan Allen have an effective day. That's what you need to see from the Chargers offense with Herbert at the helm. It's really a scary team when they're on fire. I mean, you saw what they did to the Ravens, but this defense, they allowed a lot for a team that's been really struggling this season. Offensively, Deontay Johnson, what a monster he is. I think he's had a really
Great
underrated
catches, yep.
Yeah, everybody talk about the drops, but this year he's been really good. I think he's got only one drop on how many targets. So, shout out DJ. But both these teams are going to be playoff hopefuls. This is a huge game for the Chargers when it comes to wild card race. Could come in handy later, but it's not going to end in a tiebreaker because of the half tie. I doubt they're going to see a tie.
The Chargers can still win the division, and they have a 1 win over the Chiefs. They
sure.
need to just sustain victories.
For sure, but they're definitely not a team that they're a volatile team for sure.
Yeah, and I think I tweeted about this yesterday. Justin Herbert will either get me 30 plus. I have him in 2 leagues. I thought he had the chance to be, OPOY this year. But he's just he's boom or bust, man. Multiple weeks he's gotten me 30 plus fantasy points, and multiple weeks he's gotten me about 10. And I think that kind of reflects in their record. They play well when he does well, and if he doesn't do well, which he has not done every game, it's kind of a struggle. On the flip side, Steelers kind of impressed with their offense. They've dropped 27 in the fourth. I know there was some bad defense there by the Chargers, but it was interesting. The Steelers passing game actually played pretty well. But overall, playoff hopefuls, Chargers kind of almost chargered it up. Almost lost that game, which is disappointing to see that they even got that close, but they pulled it out, so a win is a win, eh?
A win is a win. Should we talk about the Monday night game and then get on to our power rankings?
Yeah, this is kind of a dud.
Yeah, I said the minus 11.5. You had Akahi and Diono talking about the plus 11, but the minus 11.5 hits. Tom Brady.
No, Dallin actually got them in minus 10.
Oh, he did, and he bet that?
He bet it.
Okay. Well, I think the Bucs are, probably a competitive team this year. Obviously, we were definitely making sure they're going to make playoffs. Tough weeks against the football team. And who's the other team they lost to?
The Bucs.
Oh, the Saints. They lost 2 weeks back in a row against the Bucs and the football team and the Saints, with a bye in the middle. But I don't know. With Gronk back, it clearly seemed to make a difference. The security blanket was there.
Definitely.
4 guys with 6+ receptions, first time in his career. I mean, he's got so many weapons. If Antonio Brown goes back in the season, I think they're probably the best offense in the league, probably the best team in the league. But that's a big if at this point. So who knows? I think the Giants, Daniel Jones, just Daniel Jones he's entertaining to watch, but also it makes you a little sad inside. Probably one of the worst plays of the weekend, throwing that ball cross-field straight to a defensive lineman. You got to wonder what he's seeing there. Another ugly pick later in the game. The Giants are just not competitive this season. I think Joe Judge is probably on the hot seat. We'll see how they end the year. They got a lot of divisional games coming up. But Daniel Jones probably will get another year just because of how bad the quarterback class is. But I think after that, it's probably done.
Yeah, the Buccaneers, I was impressed with how well they moved the ball against this Giants defense, which has been pretty solid, of late. Daniel Jones, man. The Bucs defense has been very vulnerable. They've been injured, has not played well. And Daniel Jones just looked like he made this defense look exceptional, which they have not been. So, not encouraging for any Giants. It's looking like they might need to do a full rebuild. They got some exciting weapons. Kadarius Toney. They just signed Kenny Galladay. Hopefully he can show up. But there's not too much great on this roster. I'm just not sure where they go from here. Starting at QB1. But that kind of wraps it up, man. I think we went over the games pretty well. There's some interesting outcomes. Chiefs are back in the top five. You know, they're really fighting. Yeah. So thinking about the top five, who are the top five teams in the NFL right now? Who do we got to throw in there? I think we got to throw in there before we get started. I think we got to throw in there the Chiefs, right?
I don't know. The Chiefs are not in my top five. The Chiefs are not in my top five.
Why are the Chiefs not in your top five?
I don't trust the team I put over them, which we will talk about. I think I just trust the quarterback more. I trust the defense more. It's as simple as that. I don't know if I can confidently say the Chiefs after one good week against the Raiders and two iffy wins against the Cowboys and Packers. I'm not saying it's an iffy win; they definitely deserve to win. But
the Packers was a little lucky.
The Packers was fluky, and the Cowboys. I'll say this: if Aaron Rodgers played, you'd expect the Packers. You expect the Packers to win, but coming out of that game, you definitely were like, okay, the Chiefs were supposed to win. The Chiefs won. Like there wasn't a.
I don't know, man. Their offense did not look great. Oh, you mean?
No, I mean
with
like
Jordan
they played
Love,
bad.
but Jordan Love the Packers still had a chance to win that. If Patrick Mahomes
they had a chance.
on that.
The right team won that game for sure. And the Cowboys Chiefs game was ugly. I don't think the offense moved the ball that well. The defense played well, which you're right. You talked about it, but I'm just not ready to put this team in my top five.
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to why I think the Chiefs are top five and why I don't like it. I'm not a big Chiefs fan, but if their defense can really step up to the plate and their offense can, eventually wake up, they have moments where they've looked really good this year. Then it's just like the same team they were recently, right? Like a team that we thought were Super Bowl contenders, no doubt. And the other fact is that the AFC has fallen left and right, guys. No sustained success for the AFC teams. It's just opening the door for the Chiefs to, get some lucky wins, I'll say, against the Packers, some other games, some lucky wins. And those wins are making a big difference because teams are dropping on the AFC, man. So that's why I got to say the Chiefs are going to be in my top five. Another team I want to discuss before we get into this is the Titans. They drop a game. Are we concerned about them long term? They have a pretty easy schedule, but Tannehill didn't look great. What are your thoughts on the Titans this week?
Oh, I wouldn't be concerned about the Titans. I'm not concerned about the Titans long term. When they get healthy, they're a good team. I think even as they are, I think they're a team that can win games. Obviously, they beat the Rams. They beat some good teams with the current status. They beat the Colts. So, I don't know. I'm not concerned about the Titans at all. I think they're definitely still a top five team.
Cool. All right, let's dive in. Let's see your top five.
I'll start. Okay, so the team that I was either between the Chiefs or this team, but I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 5. And the simple fact is I think Tom Brady's better than Patrick Mahomes. I think the weapons are better. I think the running game is better. I think the offensive line is better. I think the defensive pass rush is better. I think the defensive secondary is better. I think every position group on the field, the Bucs are better. So that's the reason I'm going for the Bucs. And number 4, I have the Titans. I still think this team has a countless number of impressive wins. Yes, they lost to the Texans this week, but for some people, they have them as the clear number 1 last week. I can't punish them too much for a divisional loss against as injured as they are.
In a rainstorm. Yeah, they're just trying to find their way without Derrick Henry. That's
and number 3, I have the New England Patriots. I think you need to put some respect on the Patriots name. I don't think you're going to have them in your top 5, and I think that's going to be a little disrespectful in my opinion. They keep winning turnover battles. This defense looks legit, probably top 3 in the league for me. And I think Mac Jones is propelling this offense to a winnable game status.
All right, but let's take a pause. What was the last worst receiving corps to win the Super Bowl? Because it's got to be better than what the Patriots are packing right
now. I'm not sure, but
I mean, what are we thinking? Like the Patriots?
I'm thinking the Eagles probably.
I mean, Zach Ertz was elite at that point. Alshon Jeffrey had quite the playoff.
Hunter Henry's a touchdown machine right now. Hunter Henry's a touchdown machine.
Okay, Zach Ertz is legit.
They got some tight ends out there for sure. I mean, I think Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris are for sure some weapons.
I don't know. I think you need a downfield threat that can open up the field for them, and I think they need some game changers on the receiving end that's gonna make a huge play, and I just don't know who that is. I mean,
I mean,
Julian Edelman was that guy of the past, and obviously going back even further, they had some other huge playmakers. Gronk. Do they have anyone even in the Edelman conversation? No. So it's just I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sold on that yet. That's why I can't have them even in the top three. All right, go ahead.
At number two, I have the Packers. I still think the Packers are extremely talented roster. I don't take much into a divisional loss away from home, especially when Aaron Rodgers played so well. Yeah, the defense is a little sketchy, but they're pretty good. I think as they get healthier, they'll be even better. So I'm not concerned about them. And number one, I got the Cardinals. It's hard to deny this team has got a top 10 quarterback in their team. He's not even playing, and they're still winning without their first back, their first quarterback, and their first receiver. They look good while doing it. I mean, that they should have put up a lot of points this week. They shut down the Seahawks defense a lot of the time. Chandler Jones. I mean, I feel like Russell Wilson dropped back, like really dropped back about twice, and Chandler Jones is there both times. So I still think this team is really talented. I think you probably agree with that. You're probably gonna have them as your number one or somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
that top two is going to be familiar, but let's jump into the other three because we don't connect on that path. So I just kind of after talking about it, I made a quick change, and coming in at 5, I'm putting in the Los Angeles Rams. So they're coming off a bye. I know they've had some 2 tough losses. Matt Stafford particularly does not play well. But when you look at it from a big picture, quarterback play has not been consistent the last 2 weeks. Think of all the good quarterbacks that have struggled. I can name them for you: Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers.
Brady.
Aaron Rodgers last week did not play well. No, he did not play well. He had a terrible pick. He threw for like 200 something yards, no touchdowns.
Okay, Tom Brady, you can throw in
Tom
there too.
Brady. So yeah, quarterback play as a whole. Lamar Jackson last week did not play. He played awful.
Russell Wilson, if he even counts as an elite quarterback anymore.
Russell Wilson, yeah, he does. I mean, not a single quarterback has put together great play recently. So I like the Rams roster.
Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts.
Nah, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins. I like. He's actually been the best
Cousins
performer the
this
last
week.
2 weeks. But like I said, their roster is really good. Still, I believe Matt Stafford is not going to play like that every week. So I think they're going to be okay. I still have them in my top 5. I'd be surprised if they're not. I'd be surprised if they don't make the championship game, at least divisional round. So I got to be in the
Um,
top 5.
I want to say something about the Rams real quick.
Absolutely, jump in here.
I think Matt Stafford might be the league's most overrated quarterback. People talk about he should be in the Hall of Fame. People talk all this garbage about him. He's got a pretty average touchdown interception ratio. He's got a lot of garbage time yards. Yeah, he's got a lot of game winning drives. I mean, his team is down permanently in Detroit. Last year, his number one receiver couldn't get separation. I think he had the lowest separation rate in the league. But he's a monster. So he just threw it up into like double single coverage, and he caught it every time. I honestly think Kenny Galladay was criminally underrated
He
in the
barely
last
played last
seasons.
year, so that's not.
I know, and guess what? So did Matthew Stafford. When he played, it often they played together, and I think he relied on him a lot. I don't know. I think Marvin Jones also is another jump ball guy. He doesn't have those kind of jump ball guys, and Cooper Cup's just literally wide open. It's hard to miss him. I think that's the only thing he's done this season is find a wide open Cooper Cup, like literally 10 feet of space. So I don't
I
trust him.
guess.
As
I
a
guess.
quarterback, you're not on my list.
He's played well. He's played well. It's hard to say he hasn't played well in several games this year. But I'm putting him in top 5 because their roster is full of talent again. Cooper Cup. I mean, Robert Woods, OBJ. I guess Robert Woods is out. Sorry, OBJ. Their defense, ton of talent.
Sure.
So I'm gonna jump next to my number 4 team. It's gonna be the same team as yours. Actually, we're going with the Tennessee Titans. Not much to say. They have a great resume. It was a letdown spot in a rainy game. Injured. Tannehill struggled. Everyone struggled, like I said, at the QB position this year. We'll just leave them at 4. I think They have an easy schedule. I think they have a great path to getting a high playoff seed and possibly the first overall seed. Next, let's jump to the team I've been mentioning a few times today, Kansas City Chiefs. I wanted to. I did drop them off my power rankings for several weeks there, and they deserved it. And now, even with some fluky, lucky wins as we discussed, a win's a win. And at the end of the year, we're not going to be saying, oh, they barely beat the Packers, and that's why they're the number 2 seed. So, the Chiefs with their defense trending upwards and their offense, we know their potential. It's hard for me to not have them up here, especially with the other AFC teams falling like dominoes. Really, that's how it's going right now. Bills are falling. Titans unfortunately dropped a game. And it's opening up a path where the Chiefs could still secure the number 1 seed, where 2 or 3 weeks ago it looked like they might not even make the playoffs. And I know they've gotten lucky. The teams they've played have been hurt, injured, but we all know that it takes a lot of luck to win a Super Bowl. So now I'm going to jump to, the less too interesting names on the board, which are the Packers again, still top 2 for me. I do have one big concern about them. You didn't mention is Elton Jenkins going down. Their starting O-line is not looking great. Bakhtiari, he still hasn't come back. I believe he's supposed to come back this week, but they're down Elton Jenkins, who's an all-pro, their center, who's been playing well for them. And then on the defense, they're still missing a ton of guys. I know they played well, but we saw what happens when they won against some talented players and an actual good quarterback, not against the Seahawks, you know what I mean? So, when teams can take advantage of them, their defense, I think it's a little weaker than we might think. Yeah, that's all I got. Cardinals wrap up number 1. They win tough. They win close. They blow out teams. They do whatever it takes to win. Down quarterbacks, down receivers, down J.J. Watt. It's impressive what they've done this year, and Cliff Kingsbury has done a great job of just keeping them focused. I think that's just a ton of value there, and just keeping that defense playing hard. So that's all I got, man. That's all I got. We got some similarities, some differences. Still seems to be NFC dominated, but it'll get interesting here.
Yep. So if I'm not wrong, you're still in the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC then right now.
That's what I had it, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, let's think about it real quick. Let's see who we got. The Ravens, the Chiefs, the Titans. Who am I missing?
The Bills, the Patriots.
Bills, Patriots. The Bills are 6-4. In my eyes, Ravens beat them barely. I don't think they beat them now. Bills beat them. I don't know if they beat them now. Patriots, honestly, might put up a fight, but I don't know if they beat them now. Titans beat them, but I don't know if they beat them now. I guess half those teams beat them. But like I said, their defense has played better. Is it really that crazy to say the Chiefs are the?
Yeah.
Is it really that crazy to say the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC?
I think it's crazy right now, yes.
But coming into the year.
As expected. You expect them to be the best team in the AFC, but
they're one game out of the best record.
We also expected the Seahawks are easy playoff team, so who knows? They're the worst team in the league, so.
Well, they didn't lose their starting quarterback for 5 weeks, but
5 is not true, but 3, yes.
3, but they lost 3.5 plus whatever the Packers game was. So, all right.
Yeah, little end on stubborn.
Let's wrap it up there. Just want to shout out everyone. Thanks for following. We got the responsible bet coming up. Hopefully we'll record it this Wednesday so we can avoid recording it Thursday, but we'll see. Tune in. Picks have been doing well. Anything you gotta say?
No. Happy to be back on Monday here. We'll see if we can stick around. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Also shout out to Brian Monet.